All right, 7th grade, we've got another challenge for you. It's dealing with volume. It's going to be much like yesterday's, except now we're dealing with pyramids and cones, the shapes that come to points instead of the cylinders and prisms, okay? Your formulas are going to be very the same, but you're going to divide at the end of each. We'll show you what we mean. We went through that fast because we're going to spend extra time on the other parts. Learn to find the volume of pyramids and cones. Suppose you have a square pyramid shaped container and a square prism shaped container, and the bases and the heights are the same. If you pour sand from the pyramid into the prism, it appears that the prism holds 3 times as much sand as the pyramid. 3 becomes a significant number in what we're doing, and we'll show you why. In fact, the volume of a pyramid is exactly 1/3 the volume of a prism, with the same height and a congruent base. The height of a pyramid is the perpendicular distance from the pyramid's base to the vertex. So from the middle up to that point, when they're all congruent. So just like the other day, you're going to find the area of the base. You're going to multiply that times the height, and then you're going to divide by 3. They show it as 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Multiplying by 1/3 or dividing by 3 does exactly the same thing. Let's see. So we see a square base. So to find the area of a rectangle, 5 times 7, that will give you our area of the base. Then you take that times the height. Very much the same thing as yesterday when we did our prisms. All right. Now the difference is, remember, there's that division by 3 or multiplying by 1/3. So when I multiply this out, 5 times 4 is 20, times 7 is 140, divided by 3. When I do that division, I get 3, that makes 9 and 50. So, I'm going to go with 4. Excuse me. Should have been doing this out, not in my head. 4, so that makes 12, and there's 2, so that will make 6. All right, that makes 2 again, and we'll get 6 where it's repeating, or 46 and 2/3. All right, both of these are a suitable answer. So the volume for this would be 46.6 repeating, or 46 and 2/3, and we would need to have feet cubed. So area of the base, that's this right here, times the height, that's this right here. Then, since a pyramid is 1/3 the size of a prism that would be the same shape, we divide by the 3. Let's see how they write it out so you can see their example. Okay, use the formula. 1/3 base times height. So, area of the base was 5 times the 7. I had that. Okay, so 35 times 4 being the height. If you think about both of these as fractions, when you multiply, you would get 140 over 3, and that's exactly what we got near the end. They're simply going to punch them all in. I think it's much easier to write it out. And they will get their answer of 46.7, which they rounded 46.6, repeating to the tenths. All right? And notice they have feet cubed as well. All right? Now, they said find that. I don't know why we're it does say estimate to check whether the answer is reasonable. All right? I don't need you to estimate. I just need you to be able to find this. Now, again, we've got a square. So we're going to find and look at this square. How do I find the area, for a rectangle? I take length times width, which is 7. When I get that, the height is 4, so I'm going to take it times the height as well. Now, since it is a cone, we're going to divide by 3. 8 times 7 is 56. 56 times 4 is 224. And divide that by 3. When we do that division, we get 7, and then we get 4, and then we get 6 repeating. So they're probably going to say 74.7 feet cubed. Remember, this was the base. That's how we find the area of the base. Then it says take it times the height. The height is 4, so there's that 4. Then part of the formula said we must multiply by 1/3 or divide by 3, and there's your division by 3. Let's see what they put out there. Formula, here it is. Area of base is what B stands for, so let's figure out B. 8 times 7 was B, that's 56. Okay? So, they put 56 in for B. Height, that's 4. And times 1/3, or the same thing as dividing by 3. When they do all their multiplication, 74.7. They did round again, and we got our answer. All right. Now, the volume of a cone is 1/3, or division by 3. 1/3 the volume of a cylinder with the same height and the congruent bases. It's important to remember how to find the area of a circle. Pi r squared. So radius times pi. That's what that means. You see the equations right here. I prefer to think of it as pi times radius squared times height, and then I take all that and I divide it by 3. Okay? So let's jump in. Now here, I'm going to write out the things. I do not really have the ability to multiply 3.14 times items in my head, but we'll fill these in. Remember, we had pi times r squared times height, and we divide by 3. So we're going to look here. 5 is the radius, so I would have 3.14, that's pi, times 5 squared, that's radius squared, times height of 6. We take that and we divide it all by 3. Remember, PEMDAS says 5 squared's got to be done first. That means 5 times 5. Please remember that. So it would end up looking like 3.14 times 25, because we squared that, times 6 equals 3. Some of you may be asking, can I reduce before I multiply? Yes, that is fine. So, I can divide by 3, 50 times 3.14. 50. 3.14. My 0, I have a 0, 2. That's 7, that's 15. 1, 2. 157 yards cubed will be my answer. Okay? Now, if you choose to multiply 3.14 times 25 times 6 and then divide by 3, you will get the same answer. I just chose to reduce here first, so my math is easier. Let's see what they come up with. Okay? So, base equals pi r squared, okay? So that would be 5 squared times 3.14, and that comes up with 78.5. Remember, they break down that B step and they put it there individually. Okay? So when we substitute that in, there's your area of the base, times our 6, times 1/3. I chose to, instead of doing this, divide by 3. Those are the same things. Multiply. 157 yards cubed. We do get the same answer. All right, we're going to estimate. Now we look here again. Think of pi, r squared, times height, all that divided by 3. R, oh, that was 3 squared. Many of you already know that that's 9, so I'm going to replace 3 squared with 9, just to save a step. 3.14 is pi, and times, what was the height? Hopefully you can see it's 7. We divide all by 3. Again, I'm going to choose to reduce first. Okay, so then I have 21 times 3.14. 3.14 times 21, 413, 826, 495, 6, 1, 2 spots, 1, 2, 65.94 centimeters cubed. Okay. Knowing what pi is, knowing what the radius is, 3 times 3 was 9, knowing what the height is, knowing I can reduce, and then we can go on. Remember, you could skip the reducing step, and you could have 3.14 times 9 times 7, and take your answer and divide it by 3. That will work. Let's go ahead and see what they do. I bet it's pretty similar. Okay. Here's where they get their 28.6 by doing the area of the base. We're going to put those numbers in. Remember, that came from taking 3 times 3 times 3.14, and that gets you that. There's your height. There's your times 1/3, or we could have said divide by 3. Both are the same thing. When they do all their math, 65.9. I had 65.94. They chose to round to the 10th place. All right. One more time. Might be a good time for you to step up and fill this in. Give me a chance to write out, here's what you got to replace. R squared times height divided by 3. Fill in for those items. Take a pause, do the cause, and we'll check with me when you're done. So pause me. All right, now that you've paused and you've done the work on your own, let's come back. I see radius is 2. I know that 2 squared, because I have to square it, is 4, so I'm going to put a 4 there. I know that pi is 3.14. I know the height is 3. And I know I divide by 3. Okay? All those things said, I can choose to divide and divide. Oh, I reduced. Then I know 3.14 times the 4. And I get 16, so I get 5, and I get 12. And 12.56 yards cubed. And I should have the right answer. They'll probably round it to 6 or 12.6. All right, let's go ahead and see what they do there. All right, they put the r squared in. 2 squared is 4 times 3.14, 12.56. All right, now there's the 12.56. They multiply by 3, multiply by 1/3, or you could say they multiply by 3 and then divide by 3. That's why I think it's silly to do that sometimes, so I reduce first. All right? But if you do all this work, they will come out with the exact same answer I did, which is 12.56 yards cubed. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and use calculators on this. I don't expect you to put them all in, but you should write out the formula. So this is what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to see 3.14 is pi times r squared. That's 4 squared. If you go ahead and write that as 16 because you're a smart individual, that's fine. Times the height, which is 7. Divide all that by 3. You show me this, and you can jump straight to the answer. I'm fine with that. But please show me this at least. All right? All right, so let's see what they put in. All right, 12.56 is taking 4 squared times 4 squared. All right, and then doing, oh, they're going to get a different answer. 4 is the diameter. So I should have taken, oh, there's where I made a mistake. 4 is the diameter, so I should have been half of what my answer was. So we'll see what half of that was. It is 29.3. If we double that, I think we will get what I had up there. You can go back and check and see if I'm telling you the truth or not. But let's go ahead and go back and do it one more time just for the safety of all of us. So diameter is 4, so I know the radius is 2. So I have 3.14 times 2 squared is 4 times 7. Divide by 3. And that's what we should have got last time I squared 4 because I didn't see that that was the diameter. So be looking out for that. Know whether they give you the diameter or the radius. That's important. All right, we click all the way through. Don't hesitate to call. Don't hesitate to talk amongst each other. All right, 7th grade, thank you much. Goodbye.